see, look how brown it looks. It's so interesting. And what we have tried to do, I'm just going to see if it's going to work with the amount of glare that we have here, is to try and have a look at it on Gendre's camera, or the picture that he's taken. Do you think we're going to get this, Gendre? There's a bit of glare. I wonder if it's not worth trying to shade it somehow.
Is the screen on? Okay.
Here we go, we've got our bird. This light might be sabotaging us a little bit. Can you see it at all?
Too much glare.
Too much glare. Oh well, we did try. But interesting. I'm starting to really think jackal buzzard, but maybe a juvenile. Well, my signal's a little bit shaky on Arethusa this morning, so we're going to head out and back to Djuma, and in the meantime I'm going to send you back across to Scott, and I will catch up with you a little bit later.
Welcome back, everyone. Oh, there's an ant going about its business. It really is wonderful just to stop and appreciate the smaller animals. And it's one of the great things about Safari Live. It's not as easy to do with guests on your vehicles, but thanks to the wonderful camera work of Wiem, he takes you straight in alongside the lives of these small creepy crawlies. Now, another great thing about the Safari Live product is that from time to time you get taken on a wonderful stroll. Oh, it just kicked an inchworm off as it was running about. And as I was saying, you occasionally from time to time, look at all the eggs there. You see all the eggs on that branch. So I'm not too sure if the tiny inchworms. Oh, look, there's an abseiler. Look at this. Can you believe it? Come on, buddy, you can get there. You almost back up. There we go. Incredible. I mean, imagine being able to move your body like that. Anyway, as much fun as it is in this acacia tree, we have got exciting prospects for all of you. So tighten your laces and get ready to go on a bushwalk with Steph.
Well, hello and welcome to the bushwalk. We finally managed to get it off the ground and are busy ironing out all our technical issues that we've been having with getting this thing a regular feature on the show at the moment. You are with myself, Stefan, and we have Andrew on camera this morning, and we've decided to come into an area of the reserve that's relatively thick and is inaccessible for vehicles. And this is really the point of the walk at the moment, is we're trying to get you an immersed feeling of what it's like for not only us walking through the bush and taking you on a safari with us in the bush, but also what it's like for an animal to move through the thick stuff. What it's like to experience an elephant on foot perhaps, or some buffalo on foot. And that's what really is what we're trying to get done with these walks. Now, we're going to carry on with a path into the bush, and as I walk off, you'll notice that I'm carrying a rifle. And it's also different to how you would have noticed Scott and Jamie over the last couple of days. They would walk into the bush tracking some animals from the vehicle, usually quite close to the car, leaving the cameraman on the car who's close to the radio equipment. With a bushwalk, we are walking alone. There's no car following us, there's no backup team, it's just myself and Andrew walking through. And for that reason I have a rifle. It's for our protection, it's for Andrew's protection, and it just is a piece of safety equipment, so not too much of a worry. But anyway, enough of that. What we're going to be doing now is walking down this game path. It's an animal game path. I'm not too sure where it goes, I'm not too sure where it comes from, but it's probably heading towards, if I were to guess, Treehouse Dam would be where the terminal point of this particular game path is. And I want to see where it's coming from. It'll probably come from some feeding areas, in all likelihood either a crossing through a drainage line or from a nice patch of grass. But it's a nice place to explore in any case. So come on, let's go and have a look. Now the reason why I choose game paths is because they are relatively quiet to walk along. I'm not crashing through the bush and stepping on a bunch of dried leaves, and it's important to try and be as unobtrusive as what we can be in the bush. I know I'm busy yakking at the moment while we're busy walking around, but you'll notice that I stop and on the edge of a clearing, I have a look through the clearing. And that's just to give me an idea of what's lying in the clearing. Lions quite often like to lie up in clearings. And also because of the open space, it allows me to see a little bit further into the bush. Now, it all looks clear, so we can carry on. Game paths are also used by animals as a way to get from point A to point B, and by the things that hunt animals as well. So a very good place to look for tracks of leopard and lion is on these game paths. Now immediately what's grabbed my attention in front of us is this terminalia here. It's an old terminalia, and I can see that because the inside is hollow. And generally what hollows out a terminalia like that is fungus. The trees get sick with fungus, and it creates a cavity, and that cavity is then inhabited by a bunch of different animals. You've got from bush babies to nesting birds that'll go and use these cavities, genets, civets. That's a bit small for a civet, but definitely genet. But now, come along, let's have a look inside here. Now, it's never a good idea just to stick your face straight over a hole, because you never know what's going to be jumping out at you. But I'm going to do it first just to make sure that Andrew isn't going to get spat in the face by a Mozambique spitting cobra. Other than that, come and have a look inside here, Andrew, and you'll see what I mean by a cavity. Now that is just perfect for a bush baby or for a genet to lie up in the day. There's nothing in there at the moment, nothing that I can see anyway. Andrew getting the camera right in there, which is exactly what we like doing with this little mobile unit that we've got at the moment. And what's quite interesting is I don't see any droppings around here. So whatever's living inside of here is not using epiphytes to control room. And it's not very big. It's probably standing about this much taller than Andrew is at the moment, but he does get caught up on sticks if I don't help him. Now, and then, and carried on walking up the side. And moved off into the bush. The tracks are fairly old, not worth following right now. And looks like we're coming up to the head of this erosion gully where we are at the moment. You can actually see where runoff from water is creating a place where it's reached the speed that the water is able to transport the soil particle. So at this particular point, the runoff from rain has reached a speed that's great enough to transport the soil, and that is why you have the head of the erosion gully just here. Very interesting. But from erosion gullies back to the vehicles. And thank you for joining us for the walk. For this part, myself and Andrew are going to carry on looking for something and poking our nose into the bushes all around over here, and I'm sure we will be back with an update fairly soon.
Welcome back. And we have returned from Arethusa and our mystery bird. By the way, I still don't know what it is. And we found a termite mound with a dead jackalberry that is absolutely full of life. So we'll start at the base with our tiny little dwarf mongoose scratching about. Where did you all go? You were here 2 seconds ago. It's very inconsiderate. Well, I'm absolutely loving this particular area. They all kind of live at the bottom there, but if we do a little bit of a tour of this jackalberry, it's going to be difficult. But there's squirrels, there's babblers, there's all kinds of birds hopping around in there. I think there might even be a bee-eater nesting in one of the holes. And there's definitely some crested barbets as well. So let's start with, I think if we can try and get a view. Jean-Ray, can you get that crested barbet that is up? If we go up the main trunk of the tree, there's a little dead bit that juts out to the left that we can see. If we just keep going in there. He's sitting right on the edge there. Perfect. I think this crested barbet is nesting in a hole in there. He keeps poking his head in and out, and I'm pretty sure I saw one of them go right in and then right out, so there's a little nest hole somewhere there. Somewhere there is ducking around there. There's a collection of babblers that hop every now and again into frame. There you can see the movement fluttering around. They're also collecting food. And then there's one squirrel who's doing his little angry silent dance. There his tail goes, flicking. Very quiet squeaks. We've seen them doing this before. And I think it's as part of a confrontation or communication with another squirrel. Very cross about something. And you can almost guarantee in this dead half of this jackalberry that there's tons of life living in it. There's beautiful big holes and hollows. Perfect spot for nesting birds, nesting snakes. And now our little dwarf mongoose friends have popped back into view. It's one of the best things about sitting around here and enjoying the view, is that you start to notice all of the life that is around you that sometimes you might miss when you're just driving. Come on, little one, you can come out. Definitely one of the cutest animals to sit and watch, especially when they're foraging furiously like this. And always with their little contact calls. Look at him. Oh, got something. Found a bug. Found a bug in the leaf litter. Well done. A ferocious predator. Might only be a couple of grams. Found something else. That's 2 kills in the time we've been watching. Ears on alert, nose furiously sniffing and snuffling in the ground litter. Oh, I think he got something else. That's 3. That could be 4, it's hard to tell. Tucked away there. I love sitting with dwarf mongoose because they are all around. I can just see blades of grass shifting around at the top of the termite mound off to the right, where they're all hiding. There we go, here's another one. But imagine the opportunities that are tucked away under the wood and bark and the leaves. Nope, nothing there. On to the next lot. Amazing. So much life around one termite mound. And of course this is a perfect place because it creates all of the burrows that the mongoose need from the old mound tunnels. They've got a perfect home and a perfect escape system, plus a whole load of dead wood and dead leaves around that they can go digging through and catching bits of prey. And then we've got the jackalberry that's growing out of sort of typical jackalberry habitat, but because it's on a termite mound, it gets the extra nutrients that it needs, that it might find in a drainage line. So it's growing here somewhat impressively. Half of it's died, so it's beautifully hollowed out, perfect place for squirrels and for birds to come through. It's an amazing little ecosystem, all in one go. I keep glancing at our angry squirrel, who's furiously dashing around. He keeps ducking out of view though. I do wish he'd come out. I can hear some wing snapping as well that usually heralds little chin spot battises. And listen to all of the bird life as well. Brewer's calling, battis is calling, black-crowned shagger is making that whistle that you can hear. So much happening. Beautiful spot. I've definitely enjoyed sitting around here. I'm going to leave the dwarf mongoose now to their foraging mission and let them head out. And we'll carry on our way to Treehouse Dam to see what action we can find around there. Sometimes it's worth just stopping and enjoying the peace of an area. I think I could quite happily sit here for the next hour and just observe. Okay. So, whilst we leave our big jackalberry on a termite mound that's so full of life, I believe that Steph, who is out on bushwalk, still has some interesting trees to show you. So let's head across to him for now, and I will catch up with you a little bit later.
Well, welcome back, and we're still standing in that erosion gully because we found the most amazing tree. This is a jacket plum, and one of the most redeeming features of the jacket plum is the fact that it, for such a spindly tree, is actually an incredibly hard tree. I'm going to be doing a bit of an example here, a bit of taste tester. I mean, I weigh probably about 160 pounds, about 80 kilograms, and I'm hanging full force on that. You can see the angle that I've got going on my body. I mean, it's just insane. A very, very hard little tree. Very slow growing, and was one of South Africa's trees of the year a couple of years ago. Its genus and species the Papia capensis, and as far as I know, it's actually part of the lychee family. And lychee obviously comes from China, but from the same family of trees. Now, what's interesting about this particular tree is that the local Shangaan people, the local tribes people of this particular area, call this tree the Indaba tree. And what Indaba means, it's a meeting place. It's a formal meeting, and this tree grows in a bubble shape. And because it gets so dense, its foliage gets so dense, not much else grows underneath, and it makes for the most wonderful shade tree, almost like a parasol or an umbrella. And they call it the Indaba tree because of the fact that people gravitate towards it to go and sit underneath and go and have meetings with one another during the heat of the day. It gets a little fruit. You can eat the little fruit. It's a very good tasting little fruit. You get it in about December through to January, sometimes late February. Doesn't have anything on at the moment. In actual fact, it's just got some of its brand new leaves on at the moment and nothing else. And you know what amazes me is the fact that we're standing on an erosion gully which is pretty poor from a vegetation point of view. Same minerals, same water, same sunlight, and you get two completely different trees growing right next to one another. Exactly the same size. This bush that we're looking at is made up of two trees in actual fact. Papia capensis and the tree wisteria. which is something that you've had a look at before. It's one of the trees that I'm sure Jamie and Scott have pandered over. It's one of the first trees to get flowers on in summertime, and is a very clear indication of spring on the way. You can have a look at how beautiful those flowers are. And this wood, by comparison, is very soft. You can see I'm moving the tree around with not much effort whatsoever. And isn't it just amazing? You've got the same soil, same sunlight, same water, same minerals, two completely different trees. For me, it's incredible. Anyway, that was just a quick link from us. We are going to be going back through to, I don't have a radio with me, so I don't know if it's Scott or Jamie, but I'm sure whoever it is going to have something very interesting to show you. We're going to carry on, and we'll catch up in a bit.
Welcome back, everyone. And there's some tiny little blue wax bulls hopping about. They've got a beautiful light blue coloration, and let's just be patient. I'm sure one will hop back into frame shortly. There are also some firefinches in the general area, and they often do co-feed with one another. So if you see a reddish tinge in one of these little brown birds, that will be the firefinch. But it appears like all of them are dodging the camera for the time being. I know Jamie was chatting about both these birds a little bit earlier on the safari. And Molly, it's your lucky morning, because you also mentioned that you would like to see these blue wax bulls. So I'm glad they are around and also in a decent view. Lots of birds calling us around us. Just started hearing a woodpecker tapping around a tree. It sounds like it's nearby to us. So I'm trying to scan about. I think it's this tree over here, but it could be that one. So somewhere in there this woodpecker's going about its business. You can probably hear the gentle tapping. Is the orange-breasted or sulphur-breasted bushrack. It's just a portion of its call that we're hearing now. Let's continue though, and as we do continue, working too well today, we will accept defeat, and hopefully some ground will mean more clear. It's not our signal, it's a satellite in outer space that's getting attacked from all angles. The satellite space was doing its job, and then signal that we have got more control of here at Djuma then started letting us down. Anyway, here we go, higher ground, and hopefully a clearer picture. Okay, now we are going on a bird hunt. It's quite far, further than I would have liked it to, but I've seen where it's landed, and it's a pretty bird that may just stay perched in a nice redwood tree. Stay there. So it's just left, kind of 10 o'clock. I'm just going to creep up, and VM's going to shift you across there, so as soon as we get into a decent spot we can stop and he can zoom in. It's actually calling now.
plenty of shade and plenty. And I've been on something of a little bit of a leopard drought, I suppose. It's the last time I saw Karula just before we got rained out. I think that was a really leopard trap. But that is how it works out here. Swings and roundabouts in a way. Catches. Birds out and about which are loving today. It took off and it flew away. I couldn't see its legs properly because it was right into the sun. But I will tell you that its chest and its wings were almost white. There's a bit of mottling in the center of the chest, but it was completely white. And jackal buzzards underneath are not completely white, not even if they're juveniles or cream colored. Now I'm really starting to question everything I know about birding. I'm sure when I get back, one of the other presenters will have the answer like this, but I'm really struggling with this one. I'm just wondering whether or not it's some kind of pale morph or color morph of one of the versions. Also, it was very, very big when it flew away. Still confused, still not sure. Just have to wait and see what the pictures come out with. I think we're going to have to keep trying and trying to figure out exactly what it is we saw. I'm just going to stop and have a look at this tree quickly. Since we have been chatting a little bit about trees, do a loop around into the block if I can. Still waiting to see it flower. I was hoping it would start to fairly soon. It's one of my favorite of all the trees. We appear to be collecting spider webs, and we better get used to it because summer's definitely here, and I've already eaten about 2 today. Plant a tree. I'm waiting for the time when it starts to flower with its bright red flowers that bird life absolutely loves. This is known as a boer bean or Scotia brachypetala. That's a very, very useful little tree, or big tree in this case, very often on termite mounds with thick, dense layers of coverage. And my information on the tree will have to wait for another day because Scott has got some elephants having a mud bath just to the north of where we are now. So let's head across to there and I will catch up to you a little bit later.
It's literally ice skating. It's so slippery. Let's see if it doesn't slip into this pit again. Oh, this is... And moments like this are not happening around every corner. Up the mud with their feet, you'll be able to hear that clearly, and then they're going to roll themselves around in it. Look, watch the calf trying to get out here. It's probably going to slip and slide. This is so cool. And there's more elephants approaching from the north. Another beautiful big cow. This one calf on the far right looks like it's a little bit apprehensive. I don't think it knows quite what to do with this mud wallow. Look at this. Oh, look at this big cow. She's really crazy. Liam got a piece of mud on his face. We're probably like 10 meters away. That gives you an idea of the power of that elephant. Well, the one right in the center of the shot. Oh no, it just pooped in its friend's eye. It whacked a piece of poop falling out of its rear end straight into the eye of that youngster. He doesn't seem too concerned. Like one of the elephants that are not performing. Oh, look at the one right at the back on the left. It's sitting on its bottom. Now it's lying on its side. It's hard to see because the big cow's in the way. Here we go. This is wonderful. Look at how cute this is. Watch it slipping and sliding here. Oh, oh, oh. That was awesome. Well, it's not over yet. Seems like the youngsters are now going to have their turn. And have a closer look once these elephants have finished that bathing, or mud wallowing rather. Well, this youngster, it is covered in mud from the tip of the trunk to the tip of its tail, and it's because you can see she's actually just started dust bathing. So covering her body with a fine film of dust that's going to stick to her wet body. Or then we might have to go back to the ones in the wallow. Sorry, it's complicated. She was lying down. Trying to cover as much of her body as she can. It's all happening there. Oh, look at that. You can really feel the enjoyment that these elephants are going through at the moment. Their body language really does tell a great story, and I think it's quite infectious. You can't help but be in a good mood when watching these animals rolling around in the mud as they have been. There we go again. Uh-oh, I think I'm going to have to reposition it so slightly. I can see some potentially wonderful action unfolding from quite close by, and I think we'll be able to still show you the mud wallow from where I also want to show you what else is going on. Look at this now. Keep on in there. I'm just going to creep very slowly into a slightly new spot. Actually a little bit better. We're slightly elevated here, and this way we can also, if need be, swivel across to the other elephants nearby. The squirrel is still an arm. There. Sorry, Mama. Didn't need to bother you yet. Good. Young bulls often will try and prove themselves to us. Look at the tail held outright like that. If that was let's swivel across onto the right rims already on it. I'm probably just going to creep forward another meter or two. There we go. This youngster's having a little bit of a breather, rolling around in the dust. What a wonderful, wonderful sighting. And there's a flood of messages coming through saying how much you're all loving this. Dee, Anna Marie, Christy, just to name a couple. And again, we love hearing your feedback, especially when you're enjoying yourselves like this. And how can you not be? What an awesome sighting. Them as often as we would like to. Okay, well, that has been wonderful, and I think the best moments have come and gone with these elephants. We can always return to this area, but I would like to just creep forward about 50 meters or so to see if there's any sign of a predator. We heard the tree squirrel alarming. And while we go and do that, we're going to send you across to a beautiful tree called the torchwood tree. Enjoy, and we'll see you later.
It's not quite a tree, but it is my first leopard tortoise of the season. And I'm so excited. I love these guys. Look at him go. Hey, buddy. Oh, I love watching them move. Quite a big one. Oh, coming to us. Not quite as big as a torchwood tree. Look at him eat. Look at him munching away. With that sharp little beak mouth. Oh, devoured. Whole grass stem gone. The way his neck stretches out like that. Whoop. All gone. Awesome. What's next on the menu? Oh. You haven't swallowed yet, buddy. Oh, you're going to come right into the car. Oh, that wasn't the way you were meant to go. Possibly even make for some good shades. Can you still see him, Jandre? Is he there? I'm going to go under the car. Yeah. Well, our tortoise was making his way down this path. But so exciting to see them out and about. Now what I'd love to do is go and see whether it's a male or a female, but at the moment, because I don't rely on the rains coming, I'm not going to go and disturb him, because there's what they do when they are disturbed is they excrete water from an organ known as a bursa. So I don't want to in any way disturb him, because there's just not enough chance or not enough evidence that it's going to rain and he's going to have the access to water that he or she needs, especially if it's a she and she needs that water to lay her eggs. So whilst we sit here and wait for our friend to decide what it's going to do under my wheels, and we could be here a while depending on how fast it decides to move, let's head back across to Scott. I'm glad we got to show you that wonderful image. I'm so excited about having my first tortoise of the season. I'll catch up with you a little bit later.
So we've come into the Nawati River. The squirrel was somewhere in this general area, but sadly it doesn't. Not too sure what to do. We kind of missed that boat. Maybe one little route running around this area. Maybe we'll get lucky and find some further tracks or signs or clues as to what the predator could have been. Sort of parrot calling again, so maybe we'll be able to not only provide you with the audio of the animal but also a visual of it. Where could it be? I've got them. They are high up in a jackalberry tree. Kind of there's a clear V right at the top of the tree. It's on the right hand side of that V in the top middle section. A bit left. Have you got another one there? A bit more left. Yeah, in that. About the size of a gooseberry. I don't know if a gooseberry would be a good general help in terms of size for people around the globe. What is another jackalberry sized berry that one would be used to? Kind of a raspberry sized berry, but quite hard and green in coloration. So that's what's going on up there. And interestingly, the jackalberries were one of the first trees to fruit this season, and the go-away birds were really loving feeding on those plants, or the fruits thereof. Again, thank you so much for all of the positive feedback. Now some from Diana in northwest England saying how much she loved that elephant sighting. And like I say, it doesn't matter who you are or how many safaris you've been on, watching those elephants mudwallow like that is something that is something else. Because sometimes their whole body will be below the water and it will just be their trunk poking out to breathe like a periscope. So elephant swimming is next on our list of things to see and share with you guys. Coming at Jamie whereabouts on Twin Dams Road. Jamie's just found some female leopard tracks on Twin Dams Road, but it's a very long road. But as usual, we battle to copy anything being said over the Game Drive channel. Okay, I can't copy you, but not to worry. Just think the tracks are from last night. That's one thing that I did hear. And possibly Karula, Twin Dams Road is the road that's just on our left-hand side that we were actually on when we found the elephants. And I enjoyed their mud wallow. So Jamie and I are in obviously a very similar area. She's just found these tracks on Twin Dams Road nearby. But we are in the riverbed. Sadly though, this road has been closed, as you can see. There's a large tree preventing us from going any further. This is a knobthorn acacia that I don't capsize. So we are going to now turn around and make our way back through this little section of riverbed that you've been following us through and send you to Jamie, who's just up on our left.
Well, welcome back, and if you remember or you were watching yesterday's sunset safari, I travelled along what is known as Ingwe Alley looking for Karula. Well, I've been back onto Ingwe Alley and just popped out into Twin Dams, and it seems as though, although I might have been a bit late, I was correct about the path that Karula was going to choose. And the reason that I know it is Karula, I'm going to hop out and show you in a moment. Now, when I first encountered this pile of scat, I was quite impressed. I thought it was maybe a male leopard who'd come through, but then I stopped and I saw the tracks. Very impressive size though. I'm going to hop out and try and show you. Let's see if we can get a view of what we're looking at. Okay, so we'll start with the scat. Looking for a stick that I can use. So I'd really feel like touching it with my hand. This is definitely leopard scat. It's got bits of hair in it. It's got a distinctive smell to it that makes it predator, which is why I'm not touching it. And in terms of size, it's just at the right size for a male leopard, which is what I thought initially. Some of these pieces are quite thick, but I think it's just Karula's entire monkey, or a lot of Karula's monkey from yesterday morning, making here. Tiny, perfect, neat little female tracks coming through. It's going to be very difficult to see. I promise you there's a track there. There's a toe, back pad. And you can actually see where she stopped and she squatted here to defecate. Interesting stuff. There's even a little jumping spider who's making his way along the poo. Might be a bit tricky to see. He's there. There he is, jumping around. And lots of flies as well. But at least we now know which direction Karula was going, which was that way. And judging by the way that this is dried, it's still a little bit wet, but judging by the way it's dried, it is from last night. So she's moved off in the direction of some of her favorite drainage lines. But definitely interesting to see, and at least we know which direction she's headed in. She's proved to be a tricky character in the past, but I think she's probably heading towards the drainage lines around the lodges. that onto them, and they then do DNA tests in order to determine the paternity of, especially focused on the paternity as well as the lineage of the various leopards that we see in this area. The reason that I'm not collecting that particular sample is, first of all, I'm certain that Karula's has been collected before, but also because although I suspect, and I've said to you it is Karula, there is a possibility that I'm completely mistaken and that it is a different leopard who came through. And already I think her tracks have gone off the road. Karula doesn't like to walk on roads, is what I've noticed. Oh no, they're still there. They are still there. She's still coming through here. Scott's just letting me know his route on the Game Drive channel so we don't both end up working in the same area. I'm just going to let him know to keep an eye out for her tracks coming out that side. Copy that. Thanks, Scott. If you can copy me, I think her tracks have just gone off towards the Mulwati, so maybe keep an eye on things there. Those tracks have definitely headed off already. As I was saying, Karula doesn't seem to walk on roads as often as some of the other leopards do, and I'm not sure of the reasoning behind that. I think that there's something quite secretive in Karula's nature. She likes to fly under the radar, or at least walk under the bushes, and she tends to zigzag and move through in quite an unpredictable manner. And it's a way that she's managed to fool me multiple times because drainage line. This would be the perfect direction for her to be making a beeline back to them after feasting on that monkey as she did yesterday. Probably suspect we drove past her a couple of times. She was probably just tucked away in a guarri bush somewhere, hiding from us and hiding from the sun and the brutal heat of yesterday. I'm sure that's what she was up to. Yes, the tracks have definitely gone off. She hasn't come back onto the road. She's gone off somewhere into this thick area of vegetation and drainage line. Now at this point, tracking in terms of how you'd go about this, there's no point in my jumping off now and going for a walk because these tracks are old. She's probably covered 3 or 4 kilometers in the time from seeing those tracks till now. But at least we have a general direction in which she's moving. She could well be popping out at some point, but please keep an eye on the Djuma Dam camera this afternoon because it could be that she's moving slowly. She had a nice full belly, although slightly less full now. Might be resting up in the shade every now and again before popping out to have a drink at the dam, because there's no water sources unless she stopped and drank at that mud wallow that the elephants were rolling in, but I don't think so. It was close to here, but I don't think so. Interesting stuff. And I'm going to do one last ditch effort to head across the Djuma Dam camera, or Djuma Dam wall, sorry, in front of the Djuma Dam camera, so that we can check where the camera cannot see, which is in that drainage line there. And you never know, we just might spot something in there. hopefully spotted. But I suspect she's on her way back to Buffelshoek. Hook. Or a leopard like Shadow. Shadow was quite strictly predictable, possibly because at the time she had Cindelia with her. But Karula is definitely not. She's a tricky cat to track. Okay, for our last few minutes, let's scoot onto the Djuma Dam wall, see what we can see. At least there's going to be a bit of a breeze today to help keep us cool. Well, it's been a fairly quiet morning on my part, but Marilyn, thank you for your thank you. That you really enjoyed some of the little stuff that we've seen today, and I completely agree with you. I've had an exciting morning, that first tortoise of the season for me, and quite a sizable leopard tortoise. It is incredible. Really epic to see. Okay, let's go through here nice and slow. Maybe there's a spotted Karula hiding somewhere here. But thank you, Marilyn from California, for your words of wisdom in that respect. The little things, there's so many different little things to show you out here, and they all have their own stories to tell. Karula, you're hiding in the shade somewhere. No sign of her. Might be the smallest chance of a thunderstorm tonight. We really need it. We need some rain now. It's got to happen at some point. Which direction that sneaky cat has gone into? But worth stopping. It's a little bubba, just to show you. Hello, little one. Cute little fluffy Nyala. The sound of pigeons and doves and the various crickets. Oh, a very warm day here in the Sabi Sands. I think it's going to be an afternoon spent at least partly in the swimming pool. It's baking hot. Well, a big thank you from me to Jandre for all of his fantastic camera work, and some good news. It seems as though Brent will be back on the sunset safari. And thank you to you, the viewers, for all your wonderful questions and comments. And I will catch you this afternoon along with Brent for the sunset safari. See you then. Bye-bye.
Welcome back, and another very enjoyable morning spent with you guys on safari. Some serious action from our side at Buffelshoek Waterhole. with the 2 pied kingfishers both successfully making kill. The saddle-billed storks also having success with the hunting, and then that herd of elephants that came down, then another herd of elephants. Oh, look who we found. That's the rear end of your other safari vehicle. And another wonderful sighting of the elephant's mudrolling, probably the highlight for me. So let us know what your highlights of the drive were. We still need to focus on the bug list. I didn't add any more bugs to that, sadly, but it's something that is a work in progress, and I'm sure a lot of you would have got to get a few new birds onto the birds list. There's a Franklin chirping behind, applauding for all the birders out there. And a big thank you to everyone involved here on the Safari Live team, Nikki and Jess in the final control room, Vivian on camera, and so awesome that the bushwalk was out, even though it wasn't working as well as it should be. At least Steph was out, and a lot of you got to see him behind the camera again. So exciting times, and look forward to sharing more wonderful moments with you. We are just going to pan off around this area to let you enjoy the last few scenes of serenity. See you later.